Let's talk about what it really means when someone in their late 60s, 70s, or even 80s can still move with strength and confidence. You see, so many people assume aging is simply about decline, as though every year strips something away until there is little left. But the truth is, the body often gives us clues, quiet signals of how well it's still functioning. And one of the clearest signals is mobility. If you can stand tall, walk with steady balance, get up from a chair without leaning on someone else, or climb a flight of stairs without stopping halfway to catch your breath, those are not small victories. Those are signs of life still pulsing strong within you. Mobility is about more than movement. It's about independence. It's about dignity. Think about it. The simple act of bending down to tie your own shoes, carrying your groceries from the market, or walking around the block with a friend, these are things many take for granted until they're lost. But if you can still do them at 65, at 70, at 80, you are living proof that your muscles, your bones, and your heart are still resilient. Science backs this up. Studies show that grip strength, balance, and walking speed are strong predictors of how long a person will live. These everyday movements reflect the health of your whole system, your cardiovascular strength, your joint health, even your neurological function. And let's not forget, movement is deeply tied to freedom. Without mobility, life becomes confined, smaller, limited. The walls close in. But with mobility, the world is still open to you. You can visit your grandchildren, explore a park, or simply enjoy the warmth of sunlight in your own garden. Every step you take says, I am still here and I am still capable. That's powerful. Now, I want you to consider this strength is not only physical, it's symbolic. When you can lift yourself up from a chair or walk without fear of falling, it tells you something about your inner resilience. It says you haven't surrendered to the idea that age makes you fragile. It says you are still investing in your body, still choosing life over limitation. And that choice matters, because the truth is, staying mobile doesn't just happen. It's nurtured. It's the daily walk you choose, the stretches you practice, the little efforts that keep the flame of vitality alive. I've met people well into their 80s who move with more grace than some half their age. Why? Because they never stopped honoring their bodies. They treated mobility as a gift, one worth preserving. They understood that movement is not just exercise, it's medicine. It heals, it strengthens, it empowers. And when you protect that gift, it pays you back in years, sometimes even decades. So if you can still do these things, if you are 65, 70, 80, and you can rise without struggle, walk without hesitation, bend without fear, I want you to recognize how rare and extraordinary that is. You are carrying within you the markers of longevity, the signals that your body is still strong enough to support you as you journey forward. That is not something to ignore. That is something to celebrate. And here's the reflection I want to leave you with: mobility is more than movement. It's the language of freedom. Every step you take is a declaration that you are still alive, still in charge of your story, still capable of reaching for the future. If you can do this now, nurture it, protect it, honor it, because it may be the very thing that carries you all the way to 100. Let's go deeper now into something that often gets overlooked, but is just as powerful a predictor of how long and how well you'll live: your mental sharpness. Because what good is it to have a body that moves if the mind isn't awake, alive, and connected? If you are in your late 60s, 70s, even 80s, and you can still recall details, follow conversations with ease, and engage with the world around you in a meaningful way, that is no ordinary blessing. That is a sign of resilience, of a brain that has kept its spark even as the years have gone by. Cognitive strength isn't just about solving puzzles or remembering where you left your keys. It's about clarity of thought, the ability to make decisions, to learn new things, to hold on to your sense of identity. It's what allows you to recognize the faces you love, to share your stories, to laugh at a joke without having it explained twice. That sharpness, when it's preserved into older age, is a beacon of health. Scientists have shown that mental agility is tied to brain health, blood flow, and lifestyle choices. It tells us that your neurons are still firing strong, that your mind hasn't let go of its hold on life. And here's the deeper truth: your thoughts shape your reality. A sharp mind allows you to see possibilities, to plan, to dream. It keeps you hopeful. It keeps you connected. I've seen older adults who, despite their age, continue to read, to write, to debate, to laugh. Their eyes light up with curiosity. Their conversations are alive with wit. These are the people who refuse to let aging become a narrowing of the world. They keep expanding it one thought, one idea, one connection at a time. That, in itself, is a rare gift. Now, let's be honest. Keeping the mind sharp doesn't happen by accident. It requires engagement. It requires a choice. You don't preserve your mental clarity by withdrawing from the world, by sitting in silence with nothing to stimulate you. You preserve it by challenging yourself, by seeking conversations that stretch you, by learning new skills even when the world says it's too late. I know people who learn new languages at 75, who picked up musical instruments at 80, who joined book clubs or started painting long after retirement. Their secret wasn't age, defying magic. It was curiosity. It was the willingness to keep their minds open. And beyond activities, mental sharpness is deeply tied to emotional well-being. A mind clouded by stress, loneliness, or regret will inevitably weaken. But a mind that is nourished with love, with community, with purpose, grows stronger. Studies prove this. Social interaction and emotional connection are some of the greatest protectors of brain health. Every time you share a laugh, every time you listen deeply, every time you feel understood, your brain is literally building resilience. So if you are an older adult and you still carry this mental clarity, know this: you are rare. You are carrying within you not just memories of the past, but the ability to create new meaning in the present. Your mind is still a compass guiding you forward. And that matters more than you realize. Because when the body falters, it is the mind that reminds us of who we are. And when the mind stays sharp, it becomes the bridge that keeps life vibrant, purposeful, and rich. I want to leave you with this thought: longevity is not only measured in years but in awareness. To be alive and not aware is a shadow of living. But to be awake, alert, and engaged is to live fully, no matter the number of candles on the cake. If your mind is still clear today, cherish it, protect it, use it. Because the strength of your mind may be the very reason you thrive all the way to 100. And then, perhaps the most overlooked yet most powerful sign of all, a sense of purpose. Because here's the truth: the body can move, the mind can think, but without purpose, life begins to feel like an empty shell. Purpose is what lights the fire within. It's what gets you up in the morning with a sense of meaning, even if that meaning is something as simple as tending to your garden, calling a grandchild, or helping a neighbor. At any age, but especially between 65 and 80, the presence of purpose becomes a predictor not just of how long you will live, but of how well you will live. When scientists study longevity, they often discover that the people who live the longest aren't always the strongest, nor the wealthiest, nor even the healthiest in the conventional sense. They are the ones who never lost sight of why. They had something to wake up for, something to contribute to, someone to love, or a mission to serve. That thread of purpose keeps them engaged in life when others begin to let go. Purpose doesn't have to be grand or global. It can be deeply personal. A reason to smile. A reason to show up. A reason to keep moving forward. I've sat with older men and women who, despite arthritis, despite ailments, despite loneliness, carried an unshakable glow about them. When I asked why, they'd say things like, "I still have stories to tell," or "I promised myself I'd see my great-granddaughter walk down the aisle," or simply, "I just want to keep giving." That's purpose. That's spirit refusing to dim. And that spirit is medicine for the body. It keeps the heart steady, the blood flowing, the immune system strong. It's not just philosophy, it's biology. Now, on the flip side, when someone reaches a point where they feel no reason to continue, no meaning in the days ahead, decline sets in quickly. The body follows the mind, and the mind follows the heart. That's why you can see two people of the same age, one vibrant, active, glowing, and another wary, detached, withdrawn. The difference is rarely just physical health. It is purpose. And purpose is not limited by age. In fact, sometimes it deepens with age. At 70, 75, 80, you've lived enough to know what truly matters. The things that once distracted you fall away, and what's left is clarity. Maybe your purpose now is to share wisdom, to guide others, to embody resilience for your family. Maybe it's to give back in ways you couldn't when you were younger. Maybe it's simply to be present. To live each day as fully as possible. Showing by your example that life doesn't end with age. It expands if you let it. When you are an older adult and you still carry that sense of purpose, you are rare indeed. Because so many people drift into routine, into waiting, into existing rather than living. But if you're the kind of person who still asks, "What can I do? How can I serve? How can I love more deeply?" then you are not just surviving, you are thriving. That sense of mission is what sets you apart. and it is what will carry you further than years alone ever could. So let me leave you with this: your body may weaken, your steps may slow, your memory may falter at times, but if your heart is still driven by purpose, then you are already living in the rare light of longevity. Purpose doesn't just extend your years, it deepens them. It makes every sunrise worth greeting, every connection worth cherishing, every challenge worth overcoming. Hold on to it, nurture it, because it may be the single greatest reason you are destined to reach 100, and more importantly, destined to live every one of those years with meaning.